G'day guys, Kalen here from Club 4x4. So for the last couple of days we've been out with Michael Ellem from Off-Road Images doing some shooting and photography type work on our Ford Ranger Raptor and the Everest and our T-van. So I thought I'd corner him for a quiet moment to talk to him a little bit about what he does and particularly about the Mighty 79. How you going, Michael?
Yeah, good mate, good. It's been a great few days.
It has.
Really enjoyed it.
It has.
Great weather, typical to Lithgow, you get all seasons.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been interesting.
So Michael, the Mighty 79, it's obviously been around for a little while. Good to actually stop and take a really close look at it, but mate, you just can't get away from the stance of the thing, can you? So
It's pretty good. The 79 is an awesome platform for a build. But it's fantastic that Australia has some amazing designers and manufacturers of four-wheel drive products to allow us to do this sort of thing. And yeah, if you look around Australia, some of the 79s that are being built, there's some good vehicles out there, isn't there?
yeah, we're not short on a good 79 build in Australia. We're quite lucky. From that
and they're a very popular build.
So Michael, what makes Mighty 79 different? I mean, what were you setting out to build? What makes it different from the other 79 builds in the country?
Yeah, funny enough, we've been photographing for the four-wheel drive scene for over 20 years, and in that time we've had a number of four-wheel drives, obviously.
Yep.
Each of those setups has been a little bit different, trying to get to an organised process. So every one of the cars that I've had has had something negative about them with the organisation process. So working out of a wagon is extremely difficult because you just can't put things where you want them. We've got so much gear. There's camera gear, there's drones, there's stills equipment, film equipment, tripods, lighting. Where do you put it?
Yeah.
How do you organise it? But it's been an absolute massive job to set this up so that it's actually going to be manageable and that it will work extremely well.
So you could conceivably take this truck anywhere in Australia,
Yeah.
use all the gear you just discussed and talked about,
Yes.
and actually work out of it as a photographer.
Yeah. So it's designed so that the driver's side is all about camera work and computing. It's a 3-seat conversion, which is all done by engineers. An engineer in Melbourne and an engineer in Sydney talk to each other because it's registered in Sydney. It had to be go through two hands to make all that happen. But so we've got a Recaro seat in the back for a crew member, two Recaros in the front for driver and navvy. My wife, she's a good navigator. And effectively, we've put those seats in there because we need comfort. And one of the worst things about the 79 is that the seating is definitely going to give you fatigue.
Yeah.
After probably an hour's worth of driving in the standard seats, no good at all. So Recaros has made that
A little bit more manageable.
yeah, more manageable. Yeah. So you can do the long Ks. You can drive for an 8-hour day and come out of the end of it and still do a photo shoot and not be fatigued.
Oh, that's awesome.
The comfort of the suspension is another component where we can cross the desert or the Nullarbor or wherever we're driving, and you've got to have comfort. I want the gear protected. I want the gear to be travelling in comfort so that it's not going to get damaged by the time we end the journey. But I also want to be less fatigued. So with the suspension on this, they're BP51s from ARB, and they're fully adjustable, and I adjust those regularly to suit the load and to suit the location that we're travelling in. The stance you were talking about before, the portal axles.
Well, it's pretty easy on the eye, isn't it?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. The reason that I went for the portals is that I wanted to run bigger tyres. Now, the places that I go to, bigger tyres help you travel through those locations easily. I'm not performing a task of competing to get to a location. I just want to do it easy. So the whole concept of building this truck is not to make it a tough truck, it's to make it the ultimate tourer. So you basically can put all the gear in it that we need to travel across to a location and perform the task at the other end and do it easily and have everything organised the way that you want it. And geez, it does it well. Hey, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. But look, you often see it super shined and dolled up at a show, even your photos online. You know, it's like I said before, it's easy on the eye, but it almost looks like a show truck, you know.
It's not a show truck, right? I mean, it's funny. It does get a lot of comment, and you know, you kind of can't go anywhere without somebody stopping and saying good day or
Noticed
whatever.
that in the last 24 hours.
It's kind of funny because normally I'm busy. I'm trying to get to a location, but you've got to give people time and all the rest. But I've never built this thing to be a show car. This is a purpose-built vehicle to perform the task of photography in remote areas, and I think it does it extremely well. But I think the show side of it is because of the fact that it does look good. The products that are on it look good. They're all there for a reason though. They've all got functionality. Look, at the end of the day, I'm a photographer. I'm not going to design a truck, put a truck together that's going to look average. I'm going to make it look really good because I'm going to photograph it everywhere I go. But the fact that it's all clean normally, it's not clean at the moment because we've been out push, but I look after it. It's a big investment, but at the end of the day, I've got to look after it because it's got to give us long-term results. I do love making sure that after a big trip where we've gone through mud and it's covered in grime and all the rest, I'll get underneath the car and I'll spend hours on it, making sure that the guy that has to work on the vehicle is not going to have mud and grime falling in his eyes, because I want to make sure that he enjoys it because he'll do a better job as well. We over-service everything, we over-clean everything because it's an investment.
So getting back to the portals, I had the pleasure a year or two ago to get down to Mark's and see their factory, and Lee gave us a bit of a tour. It's awesome seeing them in action. I mean, you've sort of been leading us around some pretty tight, ruddy type sections out here as we're going through that photo process. It's awesome watching that articulation and how they, how it gives you that extra clearance. But there's a lot more to it, isn't there? So, you've got the track correction in the back with the rear axle. You've got the brake upgrades. How's that affected, the usability of the truck?
Well, you're talking about the location that we've been driving around. Like Lithgow is one of the great reasons that I've put portals in this thing. It's because you're not just driving down a dirt track. There's so many different changes in conditions and the deep ruts, the steep ruts, the climbs and so forth. And this does it extremely well. So one of the benefits of it is that the track correction gives you a wider stance. So the front of the vehicle is 200mm wider, the rear of the vehicle is 300mm wider than the standard. So it does make it sit better on a track. If you've got a tendency to be leaning over, having a wider stance is going to be
stability.
So it's going to give you more stability, but I think it just changes the positioning on the track as well. So it does things extremely well. But remember, this is designed to cart gear, carry gear. So it was important to get that rear right. So the way the portals work is at the end of each axle, you've got a gearbox. That gearbox changes the ratios to suit a 35-inch tyre. So the same drive effort to a 35-inch tyre as it was when it was a 32-inch tyre from standard. So you've still got that beautiful ability to drive up a steep climb without any problems at all and do it nice and easy. But with a bigger tyre that's going to roll over the rocks and the ruts and so forth a whole lot easier. But with a wider stance to keep the stability of the vehicle. With that, you also get much better brakes. So there's slotted rotors,
front and rear,
Delius rotors.
The rotors on the rear as well.
Rotors on the rear, rotors on the front, of course. And it gives you also a transmission handbrake. So every Toyota owner will know. Toyotas are awesome, but they have this idiosyncrasy that you've got a little bit of mud in the rear of it. It tends to have this problem where the brake doesn't work so well.
Toyota handbrake, eh? So it corrects that issue as well, obviously. So there's a lot more than just the portals themselves. So it's a significant improvement.
Now the other thing as well, driving in the rain, you pull up at a site. Most of the 79 guys have got to get out of the car, put the hubs in. It comes with automated freewheeling hubs where you press a button for a little ARB compressor under the bonnet turns on and then activates the component for the hubs to lock in. So you're basically, your freewheeling hubs are locked in from the cabin by 2 presses of a button. So early in the piece when we were designing this build, my wife comes on these photo shoots and she's a big part of what we do. She's my timekeeper, making sure that everyone gets fed and everybody drinks water and we get to locations on time and so forth. I get carried over the camera and it's a little bit of a difficult one. So I'm all excited about taking this shot over there and she says, Michael, 5 minutes.
The timekeeper.
Oh, it's amazing. But she's also a big part of the design of this build. And she had no idea what these portals were, right? So I'm saying, I want to get portals. What are portals? And she even went with me to Mark's and met Lee, who's a lovely bloke. He's always so smiley and so happy and so excited about everything to do with what they do. I mean, they're gear manufacturers effectively, but they do a whole lot more than that. But they've got some fantastic products, and I think that their excitement is because of the fact that they know that the people that are going to use their products are going to enjoy them so much. Anyway, so we're there in the front reception area talking to Lee, and my wife says to Lee, I don't even know what these portal things are, right? Why do we really need them? And so Lee gave a bit more explanation, and I think she knows now, that's for sure, that they are definitely a feature. They definitely work extremely well, but they are a talking point. Most people come up, oh, he's got portals.
Absolutely. So Michael, obviously a very, very well thought out and detailed build. But I'm going to corner you here. What's the one thing that you like the most? What's the favourite thing for Michael Ellem on Mighty 79?
Oh, it's pretty easy. We've talked about it, the portals.
I knew it. Yep.
The portals is definitely my favourite thing. I think it's probably the best investment that I've made for this vehicle. The next is the trig point canopy. The way that everything is organised, everything has a place and there's a place for everything. Converting it to the 3-seat conversion so that I can have all my camera gear behind me has brought about 80 kilos of weight forward. And balancing these vehicles out is extremely difficult. Then I said to Murray from Trig Point, I want to put 2 spares on the back. And he says, you won't need 2 spares. And I said, well, where I'm going, I'm going to need 2 spares. And my wife's there and she goes, have you ever had 2 spares on any of your 4-wheel drives? And I said, no, but I want 2 spares. However, she was right, Murray was right. I got rid of one of those tyres because the tyres are just so good. The BFGs, the KM3s, are just so good anyway. I haven't had any problems with them.
And you save a bit of weight, I assume, as well, so you're balancing it out.
the 35-inch tyre with wheel is about 45 kilos. So we've taken 45 kilos off the back. We've replaced that with a ladder. The ladder is about the same weight as the structure that holds the tyre anyway. That allows me better access to the roof. That was probably the biggest change that we've made. Now you're asking about my favourite thing. Probably my second favourite thing would be the coffee machine. Now we go all over the place, and we've got a crew that usually like coffee. If you want to work with us, you've got to like coffee. If you don't like coffee, you've got to know how to make a coffee. Then if you don't like coffee, there's no point making coffees. So the reason that it's there is to help support the crew and to support my needs in coffee. And at the end of the day, you can take some fantastic beans. We're coffee snobs, I must admit. You get out there in a fantastic location, you're shooting a beautiful sunrise or a beautiful sunset or whatever you're doing, and you make a really nice coffee. How good is that? Well, you can't have any better than that.
It was well appreciated this morning, mate. So yeah, no, the passion comes through.
It's pretty good, eh?
Definitely.
So behind the coffee machine is a whole stack of electrical, and it's really important for people to understand. You can't just put a coffee machine in a car, in a 4-wheel drive, take it out in the middle of nowhere, and run that coffee machine like it's plugged into a power point. You can do that though if you've got the right gear. So all the electrical that's involved in making this work with the lithium batteries, this is an extremely well thought out system, but I've utilised the heads and the knowledge of people from Red Arc and Revolution Australia to provide me the right power solutions to power that sort of machine, to power all our batteries for our lighting, for our drones, for all of the gear that's involved, and to power them well. Without all that gear in the background of my truck, I just couldn't simply do the job that I do out there in remote Australia.
Well, it's integral, isn't it? Because so much of what you do relies on your power. So there's a lot of detail in that build.
This is a big power truck.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
There's a lot of power that gets used. Using lithium batteries has saved me 150 kilos of weight over AGM batteries. So that's a significant difference for that vehicle.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it works out to be around about 32 kilos of battery, which would have been over 180 kilos of batteries to do the same job.
So look, you sort of talked about what your favourite 2 things, right? And I can't imagine how you'd stop there, and then some of the adjustments that you've done over the couple of years. And one thing that we all know as people that build 4Bs and cars, a build is never complete, right? There's always something you want to change and the next thing that you're planning. So what's in store for the Mighty 79?
Well, I mean, we are fine-tuning a few things. So one of the things we did is we took the drawer under the coffee machine, which was holding all the coffee bits and tools, and we worked out that we could fit a full Inspire 2 kit in there. And so we've set it all up so that everything we need for a flight is actually in that box. The batteries are still in the front. That's the right way to travel them, is because I need to monitor that the batteries are okay.
Yep.
Rather than driving down the road and finding that I've got an issue with batteries cooking or something.
It'd be quite dangerous though.
Yeah. So that drawer now, I pull the drawer out, I can take the drone out, place it on the table, set it all up and perform a flight.
Awesome.
The radio's in there, all the gear's in there, it's fantastic. So now the tool bags, those tool rolls, they're under the driver's seat. In amongst the camera gear, like underneath the camera gear. That's probably one of the biggest changes that I must admit I've made. I think that works extremely well for us. And
Sandy 60. So we've been watching that one develop over the last sort of few months, or a little bit longer than that. So tell us a little bit about that. Obviously looking forward to having it come back home.
Oh, so am I.
Where you could drive it and I might get a steer.
I haven't even driven it yet.
Yeah,
it's such a beautiful rig.
Yeah.
I really love what we've done to it, and again, some fantastic manufacturers in Australia, but fantastic builders as well. And the guys at On Track Fabrications, Luke and the boys, they did a fantastic job in fixing the rust. You look at a vehicle like that, you never know what you're going to get.
That's it.
35 years old. Could just be a bucket of bolts at the end of the day. But everybody involved in that build has made that vehicle just something special. Now, I can't wait to drive it myself, but I also can't wait for a whole stack of other people out there to drive it. One of the reasons I've built the Sandy 60, I've always loved the 60 series. I've got a passion for the 60, but I don't really need another four-wheel drive. However, I really wanted to showcase what you could do with an old vehicle to make it something special and take that vehicle into all these locations to photograph it. Because we're photographing all these modern vehicles, but how good would it be on a trip to have, whilst you're out there, this old 60 series cruises up and joins the photo shoot.
Awesome.
So we get to shoot the new and the old at the same time. Now I can't drive it there. There's great people out there that would love to drive this 60 series, and I'm just going to say, well, hey, we're going to such and such, can you come and pick this vehicle up, put your gear in it, come out, enjoy it, and meet us there, and so I can photograph it out in that location. That's the plan, so to share it around.
That's great, mate, that's great.
Yeah, should be good. But I haven't driven it, I haven't seen it personally finished. I've sent the team out there to photograph it and film it. They've been testing it. Emma George has even had a drive, but I haven't driven it. So at some point I'm going to get this vehicle over to Sydney and it's going to do some epic trips. I absolutely can't wait. I definitely want to have a drive of it. But I also want great people out there like yourself, Kalen, to come and join us on a trip and take our Sandy 60 for a drive and get to experience it for yourself.
Mate, amazing. Don't have to twist my arm. Looking forward to that. That's awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Cool.
great.
Where would you like to go?
Mate, I reckon Blue Rag in the high country would be a goer.
That is one of my favourite places.
Done.
I actually swagged it on top of Blue Rag in about 40 knots of wind.
Wow.
Woke up in the morning well before sunrise and the cloud was all around me and it just started to disappear. It was amazing.
Unreal.
Been there quite a few times, but it's definitely one of my favourite places, so I can't wait for that trip.
Unreal.
Sandy 60 will love it too. It's got reduction gears in it. You'll just be idling up those hills along the ridges. You'll absolutely love it.
Looking forward to experiencing that, mate.
Oh, it's a good rig.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Michael, thank you so much for making the time, mate. It was great to catch up. Thank you for showing us around, some of your favourite spots, and I think it's about that time to hit the road again, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to get that Raptor again out there on the tracks. It looks good, eh?
Well, it's been following you. We haven't had any issues. So.
It's a good looking rig.
Actually, you might put me in some harder spots now as a result of that, but I'm sure I'll follow you up.
Well, even the Everest. Dragging up the camper trailer up that hill yesterday.
It's done very well. Very well.
Aiden's not a bad driver.
He's not a bad steerer, is he?
Yeah. Anyway, when the Sandy 60 gets over here, let's catch up again and we'll get out to Blue Rag.
Sounds great, mate. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Michael. Cheers, bud.